Hey y'all, it's JB. Tonight I have for you a 8 things you probably don't know about me video. Maria Gentle Whispering, who I'm sure you are all familiar with, did a 5 things you don't know about me video on her vlog channel a little while back, and I really enjoyed that, so I thought I would try a little one of my own. There might be an item or two here. One moment. This video brought to you by Chloraseptic. So a few of these items I might have mentioned in past videos. I've done over 200 of them at this point, so I'm not sure. But again, I'm pretty sure that these are 8 things you don't know about me. So to begin with, I want to tell you that, number 1, I have a tattoo of Pope Francis on my right hip. I'm not Catholic. I don't even know that much about Pope Francis, but I was in a scavenger hunt years ago, this week-long international scavenger hunt with a team of really awesome people, and one of the items of like 200 items on the scavenger hunt list was get a tattoo of Pope Francis, and we could get a bunch of points if someone on our team did that. And when I commit to something, I like to really commit. So since I have a bunch of tattoos already, I volunteered and I went in and I paid good money to get the face of Pope Francis permanently tattooed on my body. 2. So this is something that Maria actually mentioned in her video too. Y'all, I used to be a smoker. I used to smoke cigarettes. And unlike a lot of people who started in their teens when they didn't know any better, I started smoking when I was probably 20 or 21. I was in a play. I used to do a lot of acting in my teens and early 20s. That's actually what I went to college for. But I was in a play where my character had to smoke cigarettes on stage, so I just learned how to smoke for this show. And then around the time that the show ended, I'd kind of gotten in the habit of smoking at parties and going out to smoke with the other smokers on their smoke breaks during rehearsals. And I went through this really bad breakup, and I was sort of using this really absurd logic that only self-destructive early 20-somethings could understand, but I was like, I'll show this boyfriend that I'm mad at, I'll keep smoking. That'll teach him a lesson. So I don't know, I smoked with increased vigor at that point, eventually became a pack-a-day smoker, did that for a few years, and then cut back and eventually quit years later. I don't smoke anymore. I haven't smoked in a long time. I'm really glad that I don't. But yeah, that's something that I used to do. Don't anymore. I'm really glad I stopped. Number 3. Again, continuing with my acting experience, for a while in college, I worked for this company that a couple of my friends owned, and they provided corporate entertainment for a whole variety of occasions, whether it was parties or expos or conventions, things like that. Basically, they provided actors for events, and that could be anything from, I played Belle in this kind of swanky Beauty and the Beast themed event. There was this event where it was like an Italian festival, and this string cheese brand, they provided this costume, which was like this huge string cheese mascot costume. Huge. It was the middle of summer. It actually had ice packs and a fan inside of it, but I was inside this costume, walking around with another performer who was giving out samples of the string cheese. You see, like, weird mascots out there at events. There's a real person in there with feelings. Don't kick that person. Not that it happened to me. It happened to me. There was another event that I did with them where there was this company who once again provided the costumes, where we were all in these like head to toe skin tight lime green bodysuit things that covered everything, I think, except for just our faces. And the concept of this was that we were supposed to be these like sprightly, fun characters with the company logo written across our chest. And they hired out a trolley for us. This was in Boston. And they were sending this trolley full of people in lime green spandex bodysuits to just frolic around Boston and, you know, parade their company name across their chest. So that's how I used to earn $1. 4, I used to have my tongue pierced. I'm much more into tattoos, as you've probably seen, than piercings. As far as piercings go, I pretty much just have my ears and my nose. But at one point, I did get my tongue pierced. I had it in there for, I think, like a month. I hated it so much. I have a little bit of a lisp to begin with, and this tongue piercing made it so much worse. I also have these big teeth, and they make a pretty good target for the barbell on that tongue piercing. So not only was the tongue piercing like knocking against my teeth all the time, but my lisp was like really, really bad. And every time I tried to talk, I was just lisping really badly. And I had like a big role in a play coming up, and I was like, I can't show up to rehearsals with this ridiculous lisp. So after about a month, I took it out. I was at, I think, an amusement park, and I just had enough, and I took it out and threw it in the trash. Never looked back. So number 5, I have a bent finger. I think I did mention this in a video a long time back, but when I was a small child, because I have to do everything different, I didn't just suck my thumb, but I sucked my thumb and my pointer finger. I don't think I'm going to do it for you because I'm probably going to mess up my lipstick really bad if I do it, but it's kind of like I can't do it. I just saw myself in the viewfinder. It looks ridiculous. But I sucked my thumb and my fourth finger, and I would put them in my mouth and just suck on them like that. And not only did it give me like horrible buck teeth and an overbite, which, like, my teeth were so bad when I was a kid that the roof of my mouth would actually be bleeding sometimes because my bottom teeth would dig into the roof of my mouth. But not only did it screw up my teeth, but it bent my finger. Like, this is how fingers are supposed to look when you do this, right? Well, this finger is all bent off to the side, and it caused me a lot of issues over the years. Like when I was learning to type, like this finger would hit the wrong key. I actually had to do physical therapy as a child for learning how to do certain things. Like, let me grab a, there's a paintbrush here. Like, most people hold a pen or pencil how they hold it. I hold it like this. This finger's kind of not that strong or useful, so this is how I hold a pencil. They tried in physical therapy, bless them, to teach me how to do it properly, and I just refused. Same thing with scissors, a lot of other things. I just don't use this finger. But it's fine. We like our life together, just the way we are. So my real, actual, legal first name is Lola. Another thing you may not have known about me that I do think I mentioned once a while back is that I haven't worn matching socks since, like, early in grade school. I think sometime around 5th or 6th grade, I started deciding to not wear matching socks. Or rather, I do match my socks. They're just not identical. So for instance, I grabbed some of my socks so I could kind of show you what I'm talking about. But like see this mermaid sock? I would pair this, for example, with this green sock here, because they have a similar color scheme. Like this green matches this, so they do match. They're just not identical. They coordinate. They just don't match. I grabbed a few examples. Some of these socks are kind of raggedy because I've had them for a while. Sorry for that. But like these two socks, they're both Paul Frank. So I'll wear these together. Paul Frank and Lisa Frank, like, related? You know, like these two have a very similar thing going on. This with the monkeys, this with the owls. You can kind of see how these coordinate, right? Or these have completely different patterns but similar color schemes. But yeah, it's just something I started doing when I was really young, and I've stuck with it because I like the idea of having to make a creative choice first thing in the morning when I get dressed. I have this whole system too, like my left foot is my girl foot and my right foot is my boy foot, and I associate, you know, stripes with one side and dots with the other, and it's, as you can imagine, it's gotten very involved over, you know, 20 something years of doing this, but I get a lot of pleasure out of it. It's just a little quirk that I enjoy. Finally, number 8, things that you probably didn't know about me, is I actually wrote a book, a full-length novel. This was years ago. I was really interested in becoming a writer. I actually minored. First time I went to college, I majored in theater, acting and directing, and I minored in creative writing. So I was really interested in becoming a writer. I totally put, I don't know how many hours into sitting down and writing this young adult fantasy novel. I had an incredible time doing it. I worked really hard on it. I even kind of shopped it around a little bit to a few different literary agents. Got rejected by all of them. But yeah, I wrote a book. At the time, I was really proud of it. In retrospect, I'm sure it's something that would probably need a lot of reworking to be presentable to a reader. There's a really good chance that I will never put my eyeballs upon that book again because I have a really hard time looking at my own work, especially if it's older than, say, a few weeks or a few months old. I don't know how many of you have that trouble, but if I do anything creative and it's, say, a year or more old and I look at it, all I can see is what's wrong with it. It's really, really emotionally difficult for me. So sometimes I think that I would like to look over that book again and, you know, give it another go, give it a good rewrite and see if it's something that would be, I don't know, at least worth giving to my kids someday or something. But at this point, I just cannot bring myself to read it because I'm too mortified. Alright, so that was 8 things that you probably didn't know about me. I hope you enjoyed getting to know me a little bit better, and I will see you back here again really soon with more videos to help you relax. Alright, thanks y'all. Bye.